Welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm your host, Darrin Joins, and today we have a very special guest. It's the head baseball coach at Ravenwood High School, Coach Danny Borne. Coach Borne, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Coach, before we talk about this year's team, and obviously your team's playing very well, if you don't mind a little bit, because I know you and I've talked about this and talked to several spring coaches, talk about that was last spring. Because as I watch these games, I always have to remind myself, they haven't really played. And I know a couple people maybe got started a little bit, but really it's been 2 years since you've had a full-fledged season. It was a nightmare for the coaches, for the players, their families. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, the biggest thing to me is you just hurt for those seniors, obviously with all the work they put in for 4 years and all the morning workouts and the summer training and the summer baseball they play, and again, to be great at this level in this district, it's a year-round process, and they put in so much work, and it's finally their time to get on the field. And we had, two electric pitchers with Shane Craig and Brian Garcia, and you feel really good. And we started out hot, 3-0, won all our preseason games, and we're really starting to click. And then all of a sudden, that Thursday we were informed that we're no longer playing. And again, I think the other hard part is you're waiting around hoping that they're going to let you come back. And there's kind of that waiting game. And I think that was tough. So yeah, it was tough. But again, like I try to tell our players, like the value of playing high school athletics is not so much on the field as it is off the field, and the lessons you learn and the skills you develop that are going to help you later in life. So you still feel good about that as they walk out the door in their fourth year.
Well, and obviously makes this year even sweeter, not only the way you're playing, but to be able to play again. I'm sure even the little things that can be aggravating at times, you're probably like, look, no problem. We got a little rain delay here. We got to get the tarp out or whatever you have to do. Doesn't seem like maybe as big a deal as it would have in a more normal year, I'll say.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the players that are playing right now, there's very little experience coming back on the mound or, defensively at the plate. We only had a couple guys that had really played varsity baseball before. So there was an adjustment period and a learning process at the beginning of the season. And then from a coaching aspect, like I spent the first month feeling like I'm always forgetting something to do, turn the lights on or get the flag up. And it was an adjustment for me too, to get back in the swing of things. And the last couple of weeks, obviously slowed down a little bit and back in a rhythm. So it's been good on both ends.
Well, I know you're very organized from our discussions about what you do in PE as well, one of our leaders in the district in your teaching responsibility too. So I'm going to bet you feeling unorganized is pretty darn organized.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk about your team a little bit. Obviously, you're having a great year. At one point, I believe it was an 11-game winning streak. You get off to a 6-0 start in league play, and then you drop one to Franklin. And I think some were saying, I will admit, Coach, I was on this train a little bit, saying, look, they're 6-0, but they haven't played really the three best opponents that they could play: Brentwood, Summit, Independence. And what happens? You go and sweep Independence. And in fact, that first game, 18-6, was really an attention getter, I think, for a lot of people. You sweep Summit, you win game one of the Battle of the Woods over Brentwood 8-2. And obviously at the taping of this show, you've got game two to still play with them. So a lot to be determined yet. But what a great start to the year, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling somebody the other night after one of our games that, I've been in this district. This is my 10th season in this district, 7 assistant, now 3rd as a head coach. And there hasn't been one game where you walk into the park knowing you're going to win because, top to bottom, it's such good talent, such good coaches, such good players, great environments and atmospheres that you have to literally earn every strike, every out, every person on base, and every run. And again, our goal from day one, and again, I've tried to continue this taking over from Coach Craig, is that it has to be about growth because, our seasons are jam-packed into 7 weeks, trying to fit 30 games in. So there's not a whole lot of practice. So you're trying to teach throughout the games. But we talk about the 4 phases, hitting, pitching, base running, and defense, and we got to continue to improve in those areas. and trying to keep their focus off of the standings and off of how big the games are coming up. And just, we've got to get better in all four phases. And that's been that's been the goal from day one, and again, and like I said, in this district, it doesn't matter who you're playing. It's going to be a battle every single night, and you've got to go earn every inch of whatever you get, and that's kind of our focus, and continue to focus on growth.
Well, let's talk about the league standings. You guys sit at the top of the league right now, 10-1. Brentwood 9-2. Summit 9-4. In my mind, the top three was pretty secure. But then what happens, and you never know in this league. Summit, they're rolling right along. You guys sweep them. Then they turn around and lose game one to Dixon County. Dixon really in the middle to bottom of the pack, but it can happen. Same thing with you guys with Franklin. Franklin's a team that's playing better. They beat Independence 2-1 on a walk-off base hit in the bottom of the seventh inning. So you do have to be on your toes, so to speak. But as it does sit, to me, it still looks like that top three is fairly secure with you guys and Summit and Brentwood. But obviously, you've got some other dangerous teams too.
Yeah, and again, looking at, there's 5 games left. I know Summit hasn't had the bye yet, so they're a couple games ahead as far as games played. But again, there's a ton of baseball left, and there's still going to be some movement towards that middle. Could be some movement towards the top. And again, it goes back to, Dixon has a really good pitcher. So you face that guy. Franklin has a really dominant pitcher, probably the best pitcher in the district. The game that we lost, he was unbelievable on the mound and was really untouchable for the amount of time he was in. But yeah, it's going to go up to the last day. It always has. And you're always waiting to that last Monday going into district. And that, like I said, like, you've got to continue to earn wins. And like I tell our kids, like, every district win is so valuable, no matter who it is, it's so valuable, because you look at the end and again, we've had some scares. Our record looks really good on paper, but again, we were tied with Spring Hill going the bottom of top of the seventh. We were able to score a couple. We had one run game against Page going into the last inning. We were able to stretch it a little bit. So again, we easily, could have had a couple of losses mixed in there as well. And again, it goes back to the talent in this district and the depth. And again, you've got to go earn everything you get.
Coach, for our audience, now we're going to have some Ravenwood fans watching this and some baseball fans, but for those that don't know, explain how the series work in the district. I know that's something that changed over the past few years, but talk about how the series work and what the mindset was in doing that.
Yeah, so when I first got here, it was 3-game series because there were 7 teams in the district. So there was enough weeks throughout the spring season to have an off week and a 3-game series, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And that was really fun because it really allowed you to build depth on the mound that really helps you in playoff baseball. But there wasn't pitching rules at that time either. So you could kind of pitch guys a little bit more than you can now. And then once we went to the 9-team district, where we added Spring Hill and Page, there's not enough weeks in the season to go 3 games, 3 games. So we had to make a choice on what it came down to. Now it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and you just play whoever you play first on Monday, Tuesday, you play home and away, and you pick up a new team on Thursday, Monday, and then you pick up a new team on Tuesday. So every 2 days out of that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday set, you got somebody home and away. So there's really not a whole lot of tiebreakers when, if you split with somebody, where in the 3-game series, you're going to get 2 out of 3 either way, or, you can sweep a team here and there. So it makes it so even. And I feel like since day one of our district schedule, we've been in playoff baseball, and there's been no room for error just because of the 2-game series and the splits. And obviously Brentwood Summit have won a lot of games and we've been right there. So it's been, there's been no wiggle room on all 3 of our ends. So yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and you play everybody twice, home and away.
And talk about too, much like we do in soccer, how winning that district regular season championship is so important for the postseason.
It is. And that's why, like I said, it does feel like playoff, because the winner of the regular season, and I think this is a good rule. It's been here since day one, since I've been here, that it's such a grind and such a good district that, you get rewarded for winning the regular season. So you get a couple rewards if you do win the regular season outright. You get to host a district tournament, which is always good to play at home, always good for your fans to be there at all your district games. And then the second thing is you get an automatic bid to the region, which is the big thing, and the way it lines up, our region, we line up with the Nashville region, which is not as strong as the Clarksville, Wilson Central, Mount Juliet area. So you feel good about going into that game on a Monday, which is a must win. And then, Wednesday's a seeding game. And then, so literally, if you get that automatic bid, you got a really good shot to be playing in that sub-state game on Friday for a 1-game playoff to get in the state tournament. So there's so much value to it. And that's why I keep telling our kids, like, every district win is valuable. And again, you can't take anything for granted no matter where you are at this point.
And it's interesting to me too, and this seems like it happens because I'm assuming at times folks are wanting to save their best pitchers for later.
Yep.
The team that wins the regular season a lot of times is not in that championship game. And so now if you make the championship game and neither one of you is the number 1 seed, you have to win the championship to move on, which adds to the excitement and the pressure.
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, in my 10 years, we've got out of the district 3 times. 2 out of 3, we had to come in and through the losers bracket and get to the final. And luckily, the 1 seed was in the final. So even though we didn't win it 2 times, we were able to get out of that thing and advance. But again, like in baseball too, like without the automatic bid in an 18 tournament double elimination, you've got to have some luck, and you've got to have, you don't see this pitcher here, or you bypass this pitcher, or you get some guys hot. And in baseball, anything can happen. It's such a game of inches, and again, the team that gets hot at the end is dangerous, so that automatic bid allows you not only breathing room going into it, but also too, you can align your pitching staff up for the next round, because you're already in where, if you're fighting for your life, you got to use every bullet you have. And again, you might go into that region with your number 4 pitcher just because you had to use everybody. So, when they implemented the pitching rules 3 years ago, that really changed the strategy out of everything, regular season and the playoffs with the pitchers.
It makes all the sense in the world to me too. I have long said in basketball, for example, some coaches want to do that automatic bid to the region, but to me that doesn't make sense like it does baseball, because in basketball you get the same 5 plan. With baseball, it's so much about that pitcher, and like you said, you take a team like Dixon County, you take a team like Franklin, if they throw their best pitcher, there's a really good shot that they're going to be in that game with a chance to win. So for your sport, it so makes sense that you guys do what you do.
Yeah, a good example of that is in 2019, Franklin High School was the 2 seed. They had only lost, I think, 2 or 3 district games all year, had a really great year. They had over 25 wins, and they faced Dixon in the first round, who was a 7 seed. And they had a draft guy on the mound, Jet Jackson, who's now pitching one of the weekend stars of Purdue, and they end up losing. And now you go in the losers bracket. And again, you got to win 6 or 7 games in a row. And we've been there before with pitching rules. It makes it really, really hard to get out of that thing.
Coach, at least publicly, I think your team's known for hitting. And it does seems to me, like in tournament play, especially if you get to one of those situations where you and your opponent are sort of going down the list in terms of pitchers, chances are the pitching's not going to be quite as great. So it's going to be even tougher for a lesser pitcher, so to speak, to get your team out who can really, really hit. So I would think as the tournament progresses, we talk about pitching a lot, but having a really good hitting team when both teams are pitching maybe their 3rd or 4th best pitcher, it's got to be advantage better hitting team.
And again, the longer the tournament, that 18 tournament, or even the state tournament, with the double elimination bracket, it helps you. But again, I just like I said earlier, like you just focus on growth. And again, offensively, we got some guys, and again, it's been really interesting to see as a coach. It's not been the same guy every week. You go back 2 weeks ago, Blake Beavis was really hot. He's up for Tennessee and Player of the Week. I think he was 7 for 15 with a couple homers and just really carried us. And then this week, Andrew Dudas, who has kind of slid down the order, was really struggling with the bat, made one quick adjustment, and he's got 4 or 5 hits this week, and he really carried us a lot against Summit. I think he drove in 4 runs last night. So the fun thing is it hasn't been the same guy every week. I feel like week to week, another guy is stepping up. And again, we do have a lot of balance in our offense. It's not just, we have some sluggers, but we also have a lot of speed at the top and bottom that have really got on base to allow those guys to really drive them in and force the other teams to throw to them. Because, it's a lot harder when you got that super fast guy on base that he can run at any point to throw a lot of curveballs, because now it gives him a chance to steal. So you're forcing the other team to throw more fastballs, hopefully, with those guys on base. And again, that's the fun about baseball, the cat and mouse game of it. So we do have a lot of balance, speed and power, which is fun sometimes.
Coach, let's talk about realignment for next year. I know obviously you're in the midst of this year and you're worried about that, but we're going to lose some of those natural rivalries in terms of league games. It's going to be 2 5-team league. And the positive being, even though it kind of comes down to this anyway, most years you're going to be looking at 4 WCS teams playing in the region tournament. Have you guys talked about that realignment and what you guys are going to do with scheduling next year, or is it too early?
Yeah, we've already met. We met before this season started, going into it, because now scheduling, we're pretty much, I think I got about 6 or 7 games left for a 22 schedule is already completed. So we are going to go back to the 3-game series since it's less teams and enough weeks. So we'll go back to that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which again is going to take some planning in regard to pitching now that there are the pitching rules that is much different than the past. The disappointing part to me is we lose Brentwood. As it's been, obviously we split from them. Nolensville split from us. We're gaining Nolensville as a new rival. And we've been playing them the last 2 years in the regular season. We actually play them again Friday night here. But you just hate that because, like I said, my 10th year here, and regardless of the sport, being a sports fan and a former athletic director here, like football, basketball, baseball, any sport you go to, it's just an electric atmosphere and such a great life experience for those kids, because, the kids that don't play college sports, that's the biggest game they're going to play in, and again, we're going to continue to play. We've already scheduled to play Brentwood on non-district, but you just hate the fact that they lose that feeling of, this is like last night, like we're both tied at 1 loss apiece, and the season's on the line in this series, and there's nothing better from a high school experience that you can give those kids, that they're going to look back regardless of score and know that was, an unbelievable game, unbelievable atmosphere. Everything's on the line. And, you hate you're going to lose that, but we'll still continue to play. And I feel like obviously as it goes in cycles, and hopefully we can get them back in our district soon and get that rivalry back for the smaller sports, even though I think football is going to continue to have them in their region, correct?
That's correct. In fact, lose Dixon, pick up Summit, so it became even more.
Yes.
So in football, it actually worked out pretty nicely. Now, one thing I do like, I've said this about basketball, it's going to be awful having a 5-team tournament just to eliminate one team.
Right.
You guys in baseball, with only 2 moving on, which I think is what basketball should do. Now, most basketball coaches would want to knock me over the head hearing me say that, but I've never understood a 3rd and 4th place game with 4 teams moving on. So even though you're a small district, 5 teams, I do like the fact that only 2 teams move on. So the district tournament's still really important.
Yeah, and again, we haven't finalized it yet, but the thought of, because we pick up Columbia, Summit, Independence, Nolensville, us, there's still 5 great baseball programs, and again, perennially are at the top of their standings, whatever league they're in. So we talked about keeping that automatic bid, because again, you're talking about 12 league games now with the 3-game series. And again, like it's going to be tough to get through that, to get that automatic bid. But again, you like your chances with, right now we have 9 teams and 2 go out. So when you go to 5 teams and 2 go out, it gives you a better chance. But like you said earlier, referencing the region, instead of us matching up with Metro, who normally isn't as strong baseball wise as some of the other sports, now you're facing a Brentwood, a Franklin, a Centennial, who's going to be, a great baseball team. So it makes the road to state tournament much tougher, but it allows you to get to that region obviously a little bit easier.
Yeah, now we're eliminating each other in the district, then we'll eliminate each other in the region. So
absolutely
prolonging that when that happens. Hey,
Yeah, because every year in the district, legit right now, there's 4 or 5 teams that deserve a chance to get to the region and fight for that state tournament bid. So you hate it that there's 3 or 4 teams every year that are good enough that just don't get that opportunity.
let's talk a little bit more about your team. Some of these guys we've already mentioned, but let's start with Blake Beavis, hitting .339, leads your team with 4 home runs on the mound, a .56 ERA, and he also happens to lead your team in saves with 3. That's a pretty darn good all-around baseball player when you're talking about Blake.
Yes, absolutely. And the physical tools are there. It's easy to see. He's a big, strong, explosive kid, and he can throw really hard. He can swing the bat hard. He can run fast. You love. It's just fun to watch him because that at any point fireworks could go off. With one swing of the bat or the way he pitches. But to me, the most impressive thing, and again, the scouts are starting to realize who he is now and starting to really draw a lot of interest, especially with the recruiting opening up in June. The biggest thing to me as a coach is the aptitude for learning and applying coaching to the game. It's one thing for kids to be able to do it in practice, but he's that type of player that has a special knack for, if we work on something today that's brand new and the situation comes up in 2 weeks, he's going to execute that in a game. And that's priceless for a guy that's that talented to be able to do those. And I think that's what's really going to help him at the next level, especially that he has the talent to compete, but he also has that factor of he can just learn and apply it so quickly, and again, it's a special talent, but a special in that regard too, because you just have 100% trust. And obviously he's developed, the knack for, the closing role, and when we had Zane Denton 2 years ago, he was probably one of our best pitchers and could have started, but he was so valuable defensively and so valuable with the bat. And as a coach in the 5th inning, when you need to finish a close game, and you have him coming in, you feel really good about it, versus if he goes the first 5 and then, so again, he's bought into it and he's relished it. And he just, against Mount Juliet, he was up to 89 on the gun, which is the highest we've seen him, and just, came in there and just slammed the door on him. So it was fun to watch.
Your team, again, known for your performance at the plate. You have 7 players hitting over 300. You have 7 with at least 10 RBIs this year and a team batting average over 300. Ryan Augustini, 367, leads the team with 23 RBIs. Austin Johnson, 441. Stephen Bell, 343. Miles Denton, 328. Andrew Dudas, 320. Thomas Cooper, 308. And the list goes on and on. This has to be one of the best hitting teams you've been around.
It has, and it's funny, Coach Craig, who's the head coach for me, he still teaches the building, and we talk periodically, and he's like, we're looking back through the stats, and I think as a team, maybe hitting 310. But again, it's a good balance because we got guys in the lineup. We don't have any, what they would call base cloggers, so even the ball that they hit in the 6 hole or up the middle, or they got a chance to beat it out with their speed. So, those averages can get inflated quickly when you have speed, and they can hit the ball with some power too. And again, the way our lineup's kind of stacked, we got speed at the top and bottom and kind of our sluggers in the middle. And it's been a great formula. But like we said at the beginning of the show, it's taken a while to figure out where the pieces fit in the puzzle, just because a lot of these guys have never played varsity, and again, you can scrimmage all day long against each other. And but yeah, a lot of credit also goes to our hitting coach, Shane Carrier, and Chad Biles, who coaches first base. It's just from an offensive strategy standpoint. And the other impressive thing to me too, looking at the batting average and the hitting, one of the things we really emphasized in the offseason was stealing bases. And I think right now we're around 60 stolen bases for the year. But the thing you like as a coach is that we're stealing bases at a 91% clip. So, you feel like if we're running at good times, and they're getting safe. So not only are you're getting on base a lot, but we're also able to use the steal game to score a lot of runs.
Coach, too, I was looking through your stats, 8 home runs on the year. To me, that doesn't seem like an overwhelming stat for the kind of hitting team you've got, but something that stands out. You guys put the bat on the ball. I was out there watching your game at home against Summit the other night, and that's something that stood out to me. You get the ball and play.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. Sometimes, I always tell the kids, like, failure is the best teacher. In our first game of the season, we struck out 19 times against Riverdale. We struck out 12 against a good arm against Mount Juliet. The pitcher at Franklin, AJ Russell, struck out 12. And when you do that, and we got a talented offense, they really have to buy into an approach. And again, they can't just get up there and out, try and hit home runs. That they got to buy into playing the game and playing the game, with approach and a plan at the plate. And that's really helped us. That's that first outing. It's like, okay, it's an eye opener. We can't just get up there and swing as hard as we can like BP. We've got to play the game. So, those failures along the way, you hate to go through that. But as a coach yourself, that sometimes failure is the best way to get them to learn and for them to learn. And again, that's really helped our success in the district, is some of those non-district losses there.
Well, obviously, the team's buying in, and you can definitely see it by the performance on the field. Let's talk about your pitching. Logan Davis leads the team with 3 wins, but you have 6 other guys with 2 wins. Blake Beavis, Jack Wilson, Stephen Bell, Lucas Koshin, Bobby Beavis, and Ben Smisher. Pretty underrated pitching staff, really, do you think?
Well, it's definitely been a group effort. Like I said earlier, it's been, when we're in the district games, I tell them, like, if you want to stay on the mound, you've got to throw strikes, you got to hold runners. And that's what we're looking for. And we're basically, when we're thinking this as playoff baseball, to get that automatic bid since day one, it's been trying to find the hot hand, and when we've never coached it this way since I've been here. So it's been a little different for me too, but it's basically, hey, you're not necessarily a starter. You're throwing this inning, and give us a lot of strikes and attack the zone. So again, it's been an interesting development in regards to, we don't really have guys that, hey, you're going to start and give us 90 pitches and then we'll go to the next guy. It's, hey, give us as much as you possibly can, and then we're going to go to the next guy, and going into this week, which is the biggest week with Summit and Brentwood tied at 1 loss going into it, Alex Sterling started on the mound, and that's his first start of the year. And then last night, Lucas has been really good at the bullpen, and, we want to go with our best strike thrower in the big game, and he started the game last night. So literally, it's been a combination and a group, and obviously Blake at the end of games has really helped. And that's a good feeling to have him at the end of games to come in and shut things down. We got that tight lead.
Definitely has that pitch by committee.
Yes.
Feel. Hey, another guy we haven't mentioned, Coach, committed to UT Martin. Talk about the leadership and play of Ben Severance.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I was speaking at his signing day ceremony at Ravenwood the other day, and kind of my talk was about, you saw the physical talent as a freshman. The athleticism there, the baseball skills were there. You knew he was going to be a special player on the field. But what you didn't understand at that point is, once he got to varsity baseball as a sophomore, and then even last year as a junior, like, his leadership skills are just off the charts, and again, he has that electric personality that just draws people to him, and you just want to be around him. He's such a great kid, and he's such great personality. And again, he can relate to, the coaches, he relates to the players, and just the way he plays. We emphasize playing really fast. And that's not something a lot of baseball players do, just playing the game extremely fast. And not only can he run fast physically, but he plays the game at fast. And part of that's his baseball IQ. But going back to the leadership side, it's just phenomenal that you want one of your best players to be the leader. And that's what he is. He's our shortstop, and he hits in the 2-hole, and he does a lot of things to help us win. He also helps us on the pitching on the mound when he can. So again, just an invaluable piece to the whole mix, and has really been able to carry us.
Coach, the postseason's obviously right around the corner. And, you mentioned this before too. Coming out of this league, you're going to be tested. You're going to be in with the chance to do really well. You think back a few years ago, Brentwood, the year they won the state championship, they probably wouldn't have been the team that you would have said, hey, to be the state champion. But playing in this league, if you can just survive and advance, so to speak, you're going to have a chance there at Spring Fling.
Absolutely. And not only from the players, but the coaches. Every team in this league has great coaching. So it's not like you can just go out there and trick them. You've got to, like I said, you've got to earn everything, because they're well prepared offensively, defensively on the mound. They have good plans against your team. So yeah, not only from the physical side, but also from, the scouting side and knowing, you got to go earn things. Yeah. And again, it's, in 10 years, I think the two teams that have got out, I think all but one or two times, both of those teams have made the state tournament, and again, it goes back to the grind it takes to get through this thing. And again, the preparation it takes. And that's why I've learned over time that you can't settle. Like, no matter where you are, you've got to continue to grow, and you've got to continue to get better and develop as many weapons as you can, as many bullets as you can to take into that postseason.
Coach, I appreciate you being here today to talk Ravenwood baseball. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for all you do for WCS athletics and for our high school and all the high schools. You do a great job, and it's much appreciated, and I know all the coaches feel the same way.
Well, those are kind words. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us for the Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.